Yo everybody, what's going on? This is Keegan from Kman Reviews bringing you the next episode of Review Recall. This will cover most of the albums I heard in May, plus some extras I missed in April. And I didn't get to every single release, of course that's a lot for just me. So there will be some missed ones here, but those will be tackled in June. But anyway, let's not waste any more time. Let's dive into the albums. Yeah. Certainly not a terrible record by any means. It sticks to the framework of melodic heavy rock and does so with immaculate precision, but it's not mind-blowing like some of the others from Frontiers. It'll definitely satisfy anyone who enjoys this sound, me included. This is the debut full-length album from this Korean boy band, and while I do think it started off a little bit rough, that lead-off single title track was not the best in my opinion, but the rest of the album certainly picked up the slack. Not a bad album at all. Just some nice, fun, bouncy pop rock from this Canadian band, plus the obligatory ballad at the end. It's pretty damn great, has a good vibe, catchy melodies, what's not to love? This album kind of got me thinking a lot when it first came out. It took me a while to truly dive into this because I was just so curious how a posthumous album from arguably one of the greatest MCs of our time would work. And after listening, I think it did an okay job at that. Doom is mostly absent from the track list, largely playing the sidekick role to the CZARFACE MCs. But what this album managed to capture is I think what we all wanted, and that's Doom in his element. And hearing that is kind of a tear-jerking moment. The man was still so talented and fresh even mere months before his passing. And it's just so sad to think about such a virtuosic figure taken from us so suddenly and unexpectedly. If you're a fan of Doom, I'm pretty sure this album will work for you. It's nothing incredible, not lyrically mind-blowing, but if you can look past that, this is a great listen. Rest easy, Doom. Thanks for everything. Nothing really remarkable about this Jordan Davis album, EP, whatever you want to call it. It's just fairly solid country, blending the styles of new and old. It's nothing that's going to stand out in like a month, but you know, it's not terrible. So this was my first real experience with Dodie's music. I know she released a few EPs prior, but this is her debut album here, and I thought this was really damn good. It's certainly sweet and rich, but very dark, vulnerable, and brutally honest as well. It kind of feels like it could be this transitional period from YouTuber to an actual mainstream artist, and I'm personally rooting for her. Great stuff. I was pretty impressed with this one. Normally not a fan of electronic music like this, but this one kind of gravitated to me. Quite a few big names scattered through the track list here. You got Randall, Lucas Graham, Wiz Khalifa, and even Nasri from Magic. The whole thing packs a bit of a melancholic punch when you dive into the lyrics, but it's still upbeat and lively enough to dance through the cold. I will say I think it's a smidgen too long. I'd cut maybe 3 tracks off this, but that's a minor gripe. This album surprised me. It's a pretty good body of work. Ooh, yeah, this was just pure bliss all the way throughout. I won't be surprised if this makes my year-end list. I loved so much about this. So this is the debut record from this Vancouver solo artist, and honestly, I'm not sure if this format can do this album justice. I will say there's a lot of influence here pulled from so many different genres. Jazz, metal, pop, indie rock, and even hip-hop. And quite a lot of it is executed pretty flawlessly. Plus, I thought the song Groceries on this was kind of funny. That's one experience of the song. It'll definitely get a chuckle out of you. I mean, if I can say one thing about this album, it's that you should listen to it. Great stuff here. I mean, it should have been called the On Season, you know, because it's so good. There's a whirlwind of teenage angst present on this new record, illustrating some of the beautiful, traumatic, fluctuating experiences that time of your life is often filled with. A very honest album to boot, one that I can't see resonating too much with an older crowd, but if you're like me and you're starting to leave that nest that is your teenage years, I feel like this will hit pretty hard. I am not even gonna lie, seeing Miranda Lambert's name on this project kinda worried me that this was gonna be some more polished country garbage that I wasn't going to care about. But to my surprise, it all feels very raw, honest, and heartfelt with some complimentary, simple lyrics. It all just kind of works together pretty well to produce a fun and playful at times country album. Not too shabby. Another very solid collection of tracks from Mr. Money, but I just can't wait for him to completely blow up and become a household name, even though it kind of seems he's fading back into obscurity. So, can we make sure that doesn't happen? This is some great pop rap here. Yeah, I mess with this one a lot. Always a fan of this kind of pop rock hookiness. It is definitely heavier than most of the pop rock I listen to, but that doesn't really change my enjoyment of this. If you like your rock with some cleaner vocals, an instantly ear-grabbing melody, and even harkening back to old Green Day, you might just love this. Wasn't looking too optimistically towards this new Thomas Rhett album, but this was actually a pretty solid listen all around. As the title would suggest, he does return to much more of a natural and authentic country sound. Aside from Put It On Ice, I mean, that's a garbage song. So I've been pretty unaware of Counting Crows for a long time. In fact, only recently discovering them after seeing this on the new releases. So I gave it a shot out of curiosity, and yeah, this was a great listen. Certainly brief, feels like it whizzes by very quickly, but just enough to be tantalizing for a sweet 2, or maybe even a full-length record down the road. But yeah, I am really looking forward to what's next. For a while, I was kind of expecting Olivia Rodrigo to just be a flash in the pan, one monstrous hit under her belt, and then gone. But with this album, I think she has a lot of future potential, although I do think on future records she could probably change up the lyrical content a little bit. But I mean, maybe this was just meant to be a one-time album to let all of her emotions out into song, and if that's the case, then my god, she kind of nailed it. Good stuff. I have absolutely nothing to say about this. I mean, it is just so safe of a follow-up. Like, if you've heard any Rag and Bone Man song, or even his debut album, you really don't need to listen to this. It's just more of the same. Yeah, it's definitely a new Blackberry Smoke album, and that's really all I have to say about it. Nothing groundbreaking aside from some welcoming introspection in the lyrics, but this will probably satisfy new and old fans alike. Pretty solid singer-songwriter material from this local artist, also borders on some country and pretty heavy rock tropes as well. Not really much else I can say about it though. If that sounds like your scene, this is some good stuff. I'll admit I like this more than your average trap album. I like the uneasy instrumentals and these depictions of violence in the lyrics. But honestly, I just thought it was so one-note as a full release. Not a bad project. I'm almost positive this will have its fans, and I'll probably come to some of the tracks every now and then, but not the full release. I've been lukewarm on Bebe Rexha for a while now. She's not my favorite pop star by any means, but I also don't find much of her music bad. It's just not the type of thing that clicks with me, so I went into this album expecting the same, and in all honesty, I would say this is arguably her best to date. A very honest album, but the bitter truths are mostly accompanied by some pretty sweet instrumentals. It's a nice balance, and I think it's pretty solid. Whoa. Okay, I'll admit, I went into this with zero expectations. I was kind of looking for something new to listen to, and I'd never been aware of Aaron Jones before, but going forward, I may have to start paying some attention because this is a wonderful album. I love the genre blending here, metal, blues, grunge, and a little bit of pop hookiness to keep it all together, and a phenomenal guitarist and vocalist behind the wheel. If you take any album away from this video, please make it this one. Great stuff here. Yes, this is incredible. I love the 70s glam-inspired sounds scattered throughout, and a lot of it feels very free-flowing and spacious, and didn't lose any of my attention all the way throughout. Plus, these lyrics of dealing with parenthood and identity are gripping, and that's what I found this record to be, gripping. Give this a listen. Wait, why is this one on here? I never listened to this. What's that? I listened to it 5 minutes ago? If you say so. Man, I just wish this Weezer album went harder. Which is surprising since there's actually a line on here that goes "pump it up into me, daddy," so I mean, that's their fault. It's fine. It's okay. It's simple, effective country, inoffensive stuff, but that's really the highest it gets. Not much of it is all that memorable. It certainly won't top any list even this year. But if you're looking for a breezy, carefree country album to soundtrack your summer, I mean, you could definitely do a lot worse. This is the first release of new music from these Canadian rockers in 3 years, and I feel like this is just such a comforting piece of music to get after such a delay. Lead singer Ewan Curie seemed to express tremendous relief to get new music out, and I can respect that. Just kind of like a traditional, simple EP, but when the music is this simple and this effective, I'll take as much as I can get. Quite the nice, eccentric, grandiose debut album here. A bunch of catchy, inescapable melodies run rampant across this record, jumping up and down in tone several times, starting off slow but blossoming into vivacious choruses. A very impressive debut album, no doubt. I thought this was pretty good. I was incredibly surprised at how even the 16 tracks that it is, it never got boring, and especially for indie rock, that's kind of miraculous for me. I personally don't quite see where all the praise is coming from, but I'm not the biggest Lord Huron fan out there, so it's very likely I just didn't quite connect with this in the same way, but regardless, I like the warm timelessness here, the introspective lyrics. It was still a good album. I always see T Grizzly as one of the most underrated rappers today. He definitely leans a lot more into the conscious side of rap, but certainly isn't above a traditional love song or getting the bag or anything like that. And I have a lot of respect for him. This new album included, even at the 19 tracks that it is, T manages to keep this a fairly entertaining ride, with a lot of the production being so good and the features being pretty consistent and plentiful. But a lot of the time, it's the storytelling here that makes this album special, particularly on album highlights Quit Trappin' and Late Night Calls. I enjoyed this more than I expected to. Give it some love. Well, this new album from this Canadian metal band was certainly fun. It felt very eclectic, varied. There's even some attempts at dance metal here, and I think that really gets help with Sky Sweetum's pretty pop-centric vocals, even in her rougher displays. There's still a strong sense of catchiness all throughout this record, and I was quite impressed with this. Check it out. I spent 2 hours listening to 28 tracks of 2021 era Van Morrison. What the fuck is wrong with me? It's alright. It certainly has some decent earworms every now and then. A nice alt-pop, pop-rock vibe from the overall record. There is a pretty heavy dip in the middle of the album in my opinion, but the opening and closing stretches were fairly good. So this is another one from Frontiers, and I gotta say, this one doesn't quite have the same magic on me as some of the others did. Maybe it's just because a bunch of the tracks go on for way too long, especially the aptly titled Longer. My god, that one's a drag, but it's still a good record. Most music like this I find good in the first place, but this one did not connect with me like I was hoping for it to. So this was my first introduction to this band, saw the name, was intrigued, and yeah, this was pretty damn awesome. Even in this 5-track EP, it cycles through different styles, acoustic balladry, aggressive rock, and bright, lively pop rock. It's all done with some dynamic songwriting and captivating performances. I'll be looking forward to what's next. This is some great stuff. I'm extremely new to the whole Porter Robinson hype train. This is my first jumping on point. And this record felt very casual, downright happy and beautiful at times, which is quite surprising considering the struggles and internal issues I read about during its creation. But through it all, you get a sense that he's come out more confident and capable to tackle life's challenges again. Pretty good album. You know, it's kind of funny. Even though I'm Canadian, I'm still very inexperienced with the hip. I only really know some of their hits from the debut album, and that's pretty much it aside from some others here and there. So as an outsider, I really like this. It feels much less like a shameless cash grab like most posthumous albums seem to be, and more like a vault collection, stuff that's not yet been heard in studio form. And from what I remember, this still stacks up with a lot of what I enjoy from them. Yeah, pretty damn solid. I mean, can we just leave Kodak Black back in like 2016, 2017, that whole era? I just don't understand what he adds at this point. So this is the debut EP from this English band fronted by internet personality Wilbur Soot. And if anything, this expresses a lot of potential to be a really good band. There's quite a few mixing issues scattered throughout. Wilbur doesn't quite sound comfortable over such upbeat production, and the whole thing can come off as a bit homogenous, which really isn't good for a 4-track EP. But besides that, again, there's potential. The hook game is pretty solid, and the band work is phenomenal. Almost to a point where it kind of feels like Wilbur is being carried by his bandmates. But first EP, I'm excited to see where this band may go next. I was certainly a fan of the Sinead Harnett album, but this definitely feels more like a perfecting of a sound and style. Not too much artistic variation here, but personally, when the jams are this solid, you can't really go wrong with this. I mean, with the title, he was kind of just asking for it. Wasn't too crazy about this one like a lot of people seem to be. Really reminds me of the bunch of the other pop artists that fall flat in my eyes, like Sia and Julia Michaels. I guess this is kind of a scene now to me, and frankly, not too much has been coming out from that area of pop has truly gripped me. If I can chalk this album up to one phrase, it's that it's a very fitting and satisfying final act to DMX's career. This felt like a conclusion that frankly none of us wanted, but one that we can probably accept to such a legendary rapper. I honestly hope that when it comes to posthumous releases, this is it. Not because I don't want to hear anymore, but just because I feel like anything else would be a shameless cash grab by corporate greed. And I don't think it's right to do acts like that. I am personally at ease with this album. And on that note, we are going to have to call it for this episode of Review Recall. Thank you everybody so much for watching. If you've made it this far, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to see future reviews. And I will see you in the next one. Peace.